comprehend the degree to which we as a nation have made ourselves reliant on cheap imported goods over the last half a century. But it'll soon be a lot easier to comprehend. Here's, ironically, the Washington Post.
Very nasty.
The Scamazon Prime, Jeff Bozo, Washington Post. Trump's tariffs on goods from China have disrupted trans-Pacific supply chains. U.S. officials are alarmed by companies' dwindling inventories of critical raw earth metals necessary for a range of economic activity. Beijing restricted the metals this month. In the 3 weeks since the tariffs took effect, ocean container bookings from China to the U.S. are down by more than 60%, said Ryan Peterson, founder and CEO of Flexport, a global shipping company. Cargo carriers that bring Asian goods to the port of Los Angeles, the nation's main Pacific gateway, have canceled 20 port calls next month, more than 3 times as many as last month, according to port data.
The consequence will be empty shelves in U.S. stores in a few weeks and COVID-like shortages for consumers and for firms using Chinese products as intermediate goods, said Torsten Slock, chief economist for Apollo Global Management. Fewer goods reaching American shores will mean higher prices on the goods that are in stores, as well as less work for dock workers and truck drivers. Significant layoffs in trucking, logistics, and retail are likely as soon as May, Slock said. It feels like this slow-motion wave that's coming towards us, but not here yet, said Jason Furman, a Harvard University professor who served as a senior economist in the Obama administration. Manufacturers that rely on Chinese imports to make goods domestically are also showing signs of strain. The Philadelphia Fed's manufacturing survey showed one of the biggest monthly drops on record, surpassed only by the start of the 2020 pandemic and the 2008 Great Recession. Great. Business investment is also cratering in response to the uncertainty caused by the tariffs, say Furman and other economists. The U.S. economy is pointed in a dangerous direction. The further the economy goes down this path, the higher the risk of a recession. Bill Adams, chief economist for Comerica Bank, wrote in a client note on Friday.
So
sounds pretty bleak from all those people. I mean, that one guy, Harvard, Obama. How am I supposed to believe that?
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, sounds
Probably eats mustard.
fake news.
Probably
Fake
eats
news
mustard on his hot
from the
dog.
Washington Post. I'm gonna have to give Jeffrey another call.
I don't care. I'll pay $20 for a toy car because I ain't putting mustard on a hot dog. And yeah, I call it a hot dog, not a wiener like our former president.
Yeah. Yeah, seems bad. Really bad. But if that's still difficult to wrap your head around, the New York Times this week published a very helpful illustrated guide showing how reliant we are on tariffs that even an idiot can understand. The article, titled Your Home Without China, features an isometric view of an American household with various items color-coded.
Enemy CUAV inbound. Kill confirmed.
Pans, 82%, microwaves, 90%, 96%, fireworks, 96%, 7%. Now, a lot of other stuff is low. Items like cars, mattresses, wooden
We're winning.
furniture, and
Keep it that
TVs
way.
are very low, but you also got to remember that this is specifically from China. And a lot of those...
TACOM, get me a UAV.
Auto parts come from China.
Enemy UAV in
173%.
And that just breaks down to a bunch of other electronics and items too. When you break them all apart.
Spotted blaster!
I mean, with like TVs, it's interesting. A lot of electronics production moved from China to places like Vietnam over the past 10 years, specifically because of
Spotted blaster!
in Vietnam.
Spotted blaster!
The U.S. border. But yeah.
There's, one thing you can always count on.
TACOM, I need eyes overhead.
And I think that Republicans, conservatives, they might win the war on Christmas this year in the sense that there will be no Christmas.
It's wild that the two biggest holidays in this country
Hostile UAV established overhead.
Stay behind once and get the full effect of it.
I don't know. Last time we heard a firework, he started quoting. It was fine.
But hey, I guess we'll know.
Spotted blast trap! Dude!
It's just like I don't see a silver line to be honest.
Cover requesting UAV.
Enemy UAV inbound.
Significantly worse. Here's CNBC. A growing number of Americans buying groceries. No! And more people are paying those.
Bringing in recon.
The new lending tree data released Friday. The pressure of an uncertain economy and affording essentials such as groceries as they contend with concerns over tariffs. The survey conducted April
Hold the line, criminal.
consumers aged 18 to 79, around half reported having used buy now, pay later services. Half? What? Of those consumers, 25% of respondents said they were using buy now, pay later loans to buy groceries, up from 14% in 2024 and 21% in 2023, the firm said. Meanwhile, 41% of respondents said they made a late payment on a buy now, pay later loan in the past year, up from 34% in the year prior, the survey found.
The loans, which allow consumers to split several smaller payments, are a popular alternative to credit cards because they consumers can see high fees if they pay late, and they stack up multiple loans. In lending trees surveys, 60% of NPL users said saying they have held 3 or more at once. Lending trees finding tickets with debate on the state.
Yo, check your fire.
Jokes that Americans were
We got the lead. In patrol.
Installment plan, yeah.
Falling behind.
I get that that's the
Full patrol. Nice. We're pulling ahead. Get in. We've lost the advantage.
and the problem
smaller and smaller items is it's so funny that this article, like the legend source they spoke to, he's like, I'm like, motherfucker, I am.
Effective shot. Concussion grenade. Clean shot.
Probably a lot of people financing could do well to
Mindset.
personal financial.
But I feel like there's also
Ordnance mark.
for some kind of assistance.
Like,
One fucking sandwich. Anyways.
The consumer about how their loans work.
Hostile UAV established overhead. Enemy care package above.
More and more ridiculous.
Hellstorm incoming.
Target removed.
Are the costs, Mr.
Hostile grenade.
Touch grenade.
Rough estimate that firing upwards of $135 billion this fiscal year.
Lighting Molotov. Hostile grenade. Grenade. Get down, right. Hostile grenade.
Backup's not coming. Working alive, you better step up.
It comes out to like $44.
Concussion grenade.
RTB, Black. We need to have a fucking conversation.
Not how the plan was supposed to go.
Scheduled disassembly of huge vital parts of the U.S. federal government.
Yeah.
It's the
Things that touch and affect your
Bad move, mate. You're gonna regret this.
assholes around the willingly or unwillingly understands the difference between million, billion, and trillion.
Yeah, it's just big number, big number, big
So
number.
the fact that he says that he saved 150 billion sounds a lot more than 1 point something trillion. So
Yeah.
what's
That's like $44,000 per American.
yeah. That's what on his day off he spends $44 billion on a company that he feels.
Good. Well, speaking of money, we by telling you about the goods and services that sponsor our shows. And this episode is sponsored by Raycon. Dads teach us a lot. How to fix things for ourselves, how to pick ourselves up and power on, even how to make do with less so the family has more. This Father's Day, let's show our dads that they deserve the world at a price.
But back to the news now, and we got some big late-breaking news Wednesday night that is very relevant to our interests.
And yours.
Yeah, well, we thought our only Elon news for today was going to be about how Doge is costing the U.S. almost as much as it's cutting, with the side bonus of just destroying everything. But then the Wall Street Journal dropped this beautiful story into our laps about a month ago with Tesla's stock sinking and some investors irritated about Elon Musk's White House focus, Tesla's board got serious about looking for Musk's successor. Board members reached out to several executive search firms to work on a formal process for finding Tesla's next chief executive, according to people familiar with the discussions. Tensions had been mounting at the company. Sales and profits were deteriorating rapidly. Musk was spending much of his time in Washington. Around that time, Tesla's board met with Musk for an update. Board members told him he needed to spend more time on Tesla, according to people familiar with the meeting, and he needed to say so publicly. Musk didn't push back. The board narrowed its focus to a major search firm, according to the people familiar with the discussions. The current status of the succession planning couldn't be determined. It was also unclear if Musk himself, a Tesla board member, was aware of the effort, or if his...
Overtime. All targets declared hostile. Happy hunting, Crimson.
It would be wild if this is how he's hearing about it.
Yeah, I mean, it all seemed to collapse pretty quickly over the past couple of weeks. There is Doge in the news, but
We've taken the lead. Stay on task.
That's just like they're running out of things to destroy. He doesn't need to be as hands-on about it.
Well, and there was an actual effect on Tesla's stock.
Yeah.
Tally one!
But, I mean, there's not much more detail about the whole situation in the article.
Hostiles reclaimed the lead.
Tesla board even considered
The lead is ours.
talent search is something that would have sounded absurd just a few short months ago.
We've given up the lead.
Deploying RCXD!
This is how they got rid of Musk. Fired him. That's another reason why he hates vacations is he went on one vacation and he got fired.
Yeah.
He goes, the only time where he wasn't fucking around messing with everything.
Yeah, the article does talk about it. Does sound like sources within Tesla are like, yeah, the last few months have actually been great in on a day-to-day basis for the company, because Elon isn't randomly showing up and ripping up weeks worth of work because he had some fucking dumbass idea on the jet ride over.
It's also not going to be great for Tesla because with all of the Musk stuff, as you've seen with the Cybertruck and even the older Tesla models, some of those people get a pass because it's just okay, you're probably on a 36-month lease or something. Yeah. They very recently started releasing the new updated models of the Y and whatever, and they have different headlights, so you can see who's buying them post Musk political shit.
Yeah, you can see it. You didn't own that.
No, that's a brand new one.
You bought that off the lot. Yeah.
Boo.
They need. Do they make a foam finger that's a
thumb? They have to. Yeah, they gotta
just drive around with that in the little thing.
Yeah, I keep that thing on me.
Yeah, just
thumbs down.
Some people hide a gun in their car.
Yeah,
I hide a big foam.
Never going to run into trouble with the prop gun he keeps that fires a thing that says "boo," a little flag that drops down.
See,
it's a joke. It's a bit.
We've claimed the advantage. Now hold it.
But let's close out the show now with the latest absurd chapter in the Kilmar Abrego Garcia saga.
They've taken the
Take it still!
Without any due process and sent to the Seacot concentration camp in El Salvador, despite never being convicted of any crime, and despite an immigration judge letting him stay. But they also claimed that there was absolutely nothing they could do about it. Abrego Garcia is a dangerous, violent MS-13 gang member. And to be clear, even if he was, he would still be entitled to constitutionally mandated due process like anyone else.
Just hearing my dad's phone for the past 2 weeks, every AI-produced video started with known MS-13 gang member Abrego Garcia. Like, it was... Anyways, a couple weeks back, Trump holding a printed out photo of a tattooed hand. This is the hand of a man that the Democrats feel should be brought back to the United States because he is such a fine and innocent person. They say he is not a member of MS-13, even though he's got MS-13 and two highly respected MS-13 beat up his wife, etc. I was elected to take bad people out of the United States, among other things. I must be allowed to do my job.
Got one!
People found first off, if Abrego Garcia had MS-13 tattooed on his hands, it seems like something we'd have heard about a lot sooner. But second, revealed that Abrego Garcia's finger tats are actually a weed leaf, a smiley face, and MS-13 photoshopped on top of those tattoos. And that's just there to apparently try to explain that the tattoos are clearly code for MS-13. I've seen people try to parse this online. They're like, I guess
marijuana, M.
Yeah.
Skull, cross is one. Of course, Jesus is number one. Yeah, it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Get out!
Not being the case, those are digital that are claiming to show that this is
Pull out a straight edge. They're they're in a straight line, sir.
For a moment, the consensus was no. Even Donald Trump couldn't be that fucking stupid. He's just saying that that's what the tattoos mean. They mean MS-13, right? He can't be that dumb to actually think that he has that on there as well.
Well, fast forward to Tuesday night.
Operator establishing score streak.
Here's Donald Trump being interviewed on ABC News.
A man who was grossly incompetent allowed us to float in. I campaigned on that issue. I wouldn't say it was my number one issue, but it was very close. I campaigned on that issue. I did an amazing job. I have closed borders here. Quickly, wait a minute. We have to get him out, and we're doing it. And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That was Photoshop. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
and you think it was Photoshop? Well,
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
he's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
Fucking hell, bro. Can you just clear this up with the president? Break the fucking picture up. Be like, look at this shit, dude. It's the worst, best tattoo ever. Because they're not lined up and the letters are more than perfect. Impossibly perfect.
Abrego Garcia's hand, despite that clearly not being the case. Oh, what? The interviewer even gave him numerous chances to just move on, agree to disagree. And Trump, he just kept repeatedly insisting. No, hold on. He had the tattoos on his fingers. No, I'm talking here. I mean, you would hope that a skilled interviewer would simply pull out his phone and pull up the picture and have Trump look at it and triple confirm that he is, in fact, a complete fucking moron. But even just letting Trump talk with minimal pushback gets the point across. Yeah. This is a very stupid man. Mm-hmm. And in that same conversation, Trump also flat out admitted that, contrary to previous statements from the administration, he could, in fact, comply with the Supreme Court's ruling and easily bring Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. with one simple phone call. He just doesn't want to because, well, the tattoos don't lie, folks.
There it is.
He's a bad man.
MS-13, right there. It's, I mean, he's just going to sue ABC News. Regardless of what was said, because that was a very nasty interview.
Nasty, unfair.
Very nasty. And, like, yeah, the guy brought out his phone with Trump.
I mean, I just don't know. I mean, they get such a layup dropped into their lap of Trump being a complete moron. They're just going, let's just move on. No, you should be like, oh, really? Can we please bring a picture out here? Can we take a look at it? Take a look at these letters, Mr. President. You tell me that this is a real thing. Why can't they do that? They're like, let's just move on, Mr. President. No, I don't want to move on. You have a perfect opportunity to make me look fucking moronic right now. Liberal media, dog shit. I hate you.
How was it that your phone, that's your phone? Bring my phone out.
Cheap face.
I got a big red phone and it works.
Just move on.
It's frustrating. It's evil. It's very frustrating. But I guess we'll see how conservatives react to the big tax that they're about to receive in about a month.
You mean the Biden tax?
It is rich that Trump was like the highlight of the two tweets.
The two side by side.
From when the stock market was skyrocketing. Still,
it was doing great last year because Trump was running for president and everyone knew he was going to win, and the economy was reacting accordingly. But when the economy is doing bad now, when Trump is the president, that's still Biden's fault.
Yeah, but
the Biden economy.
There was another one where he was still riding off the Biden economy in like late January, and he's like, "Yep, it's already working." And then he posted one, it's like, "No, Biden's fault." So
stupid time to be alive.
Hard boys. You want to clear your name? This is where it happens.
Sport guys, the athlete news followers, they're all into this.
Muscles have the hard boys.
Infidelity abuse? I don't know. I don't even care.
Discourse machine. Things are getting a little crazy. A man. Maybe it's just the
Hardpoint is secure.
makeup they put on her.
Enemy RCXD detected.
48. Yep.
Flashbang sight.
Hardpoint identified.
They're gonna pop up in just a second.
Hardpoint active. Hardpoint locked down.
But please just leave a comment.
Lead dart.
Engage in some way. We got a couple of divas down. Check out that video and more. We'll be back soon with some news dump. And that's it for today. Free to go. Bye.
Bye.
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint. Hardpoint is secure.
Statements. I've seen the opposite. Believe that if
Hardpoint located.
Place on the co-host.
Hostiles have the hardpoint. Hardpoint active.
How have you been, Sam, since we ruined
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
Send an incendiary.
Hardpoint locked down. Hostiles have the hardpoint. Hardpoint is secure. hard point.
What do you mean?
Hard point is active.
But I also don't want to.
Hostiles have the hard point.
This was, yes.
Hard point locked down.
Kill. The fuck? What?
But
The reason, I mean, obviously, people have been pushing for this. If you know, like, the whole lore of it, the background of it.
Hard point located.
TACOM, get a UAV in the air.
UAV commencing surveillance operations. Has some strike available.
Incoming grenade.
Hard point active. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
you felt like
Five hot
Hard point is secure. Hostiles have the hard point. Hard point locked down.
Right.
myself as
Marshal requesting hailstone strike.
At launch accessibility Hailstone took 3, RTB.
Hostiles have captured the hard point.
Basically, what I
Hard
told
point
you
is secure.
I was citing.
Requesting recon above.
Finger off the trigger.
Hard point identified.
Polls readily available by Pew Research just last month, showing that
Hard point set. Hard point locked down. Hostiles have the hard point.
You got a Charlie 1. That doesn't mean that they're Zionists.
Archangel, pressing fire.
Hard point is secure.
Semtex, front.
Hostile RCXD in your AO. Hard point located.
targeted.
Hard point active. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
Wasted.
Hard point locked down.
TACOM, launch a UAV.
Using hand cannon.
Going high.
UAV in the turret. We have eyes on. Deploying RCXD.
Hostiles have the hard point.
UAV fuel check, 50%.
I think.
Hard point is secure.
UAV exiting AO.
Hard
Eyes on
point
hostile
identified.
Semtex.
The hard point. Hard point locked down. Hard point is active.
Basically, I want to
Hostile shooter.
Adler marking care package LZ.
hostile shooter.
We have the edge, but don't get cocky. This shit ain't over.
So basically, I want to just take off.
Requesting recon above.
Explain my ideas, what I think about Israel, and you can tell me what you think. People, so finally I can speak to someone whose opinion matters. So thank you, as the official. Sam Cedar, everybody.
Hard point located. TACOM, commence HARP overflight. TACOM, Hudson requesting napalm strike. Hard point active. Hostiles have the hard point.
That's where my authority comes from.
Perfect execution. The Pantheon is probably pissing themselves
Textbook
right
execution, people. That's how Black Ops does it.
Just get into it then. Oh, here it is.
God, that there it is. Right down. Hostile scrambler start.
Can you see that?
Did he get married?
Well, I think he's attending a wedding.
Okay.
And he's very formally dressed, except
I would. I'm aware.
Bro!
so I don't know.
Why are you Philip?
Yeah, so well, let me ask you this: what have you kind of like heard about me? Because I mean, I know that your colleagues have an opinion.
I gotta be honest with you. I have not heard much. I have, like, you know, the only thing I really saw that came up in any of my mentions on BlueSky, I'm also on BlueSky, is just this issue about talking to me, and I had presumed that that was it, but I don't, you know, like, look, from my perspective, I'm not, you know, and I know that there's been, you know, you mentioned in the email that there's been a lot of grief that you have taken, and I know that other people have also taken grief on all sides of this. And, you know, the personal aspects of this, and, you know, I don't believe that people, I don't actively attempt to deplatform people. I don't think people should do that. I don't think people should be swatted.
This is not going well.
Tried to be fired or whatever, or you know, have CPS sicked on them or any of that. I mean, I just don't think that's appropriate. I mean, I'm more interested in talking about my relationship to Zionism and my perspective on what Israel is doing, and you know, what is happening in Gaza. And
I totally agree. Let's just talk about the facts. Let me start by showing you this clip. So I've been actually talking about my feelings on the Israel-Gaza Palestinian dispute situation for a long time. I lived in Israel for 5 years as well when I was with my wife early on.
Doesn't know the full scope
here's my
of
position
his
right after October 7th, and you can tell me if you have any. If you have any comments on any of my positions here, but this was posted on. This was from our episode a few days after October 7th.
Showcase himself as like you know, pro-Palestinian unconditionally.
Liars and bad faith weirdos. So here's what I'll say about Israel. Okay, listen. This isn't the first time I've said it, and I'll say it many more times. The cabinet is run by genocidal maniacs. Okay. They're led by Netanyahu, who should resign in disgrace and go to prison for being a war criminal, okay? He's made a coalition of the most, like, radically conservative freaks that don't represent, by the way, the majority of Israelis. And they're hell-bent on genocide, frankly, overtly. They've committed tons of war crimes in Gaza, including the killing of children, obviously, because Gaza is one of the most densely populated places in the world. 50% of the residents are under 18, so when you bomb a building,
I wonder
the chances that
what the background of this show is that he's on, where he's saying these things.
Okay? It's fucking barbaric. It's unacceptable. It's disgusting.
What is Chaz saying?
I've seen videos, you know, I saw videos of...
Domination. Another day in paradise, Black Ops. Locking down Charlie.
Capturing the
Taking
objective
Bravo
as
underway.
task.
Charlie secured. We've taken control.
Safe houses being burned alive with their families.
Stun inbound.
Bravo zone secure.
Reaction now.
Enemy UAV inbound.
Something Zionist or pro-Israel I said there, but maybe I don't understand.
Much of what you said was true. I'm not sure.
Enemy CUAV inbound. Recon above.
Located hostile UAV.
B.
Assault encounter UAV. Hostile UAV destroyed.
Hostile counter UAV established above.
Not this time.
Losing Bravo. Hostile UAV established overhead.
Israeli population.
Losing B. We lost B.
A lot of I would imagine.
TACOM, I need eyes overhead.
Hostiles
taking
have a
all
field
zones.
upgrade.
Securing Zone A.
That Israel should stop its assault there, but I don't. I don't see a lot of evidence.
For him to present that.
This is not the character of the majority of society.
5 down.
Reported in the West Bank, and they said they would go from the West Bank into
Enemy CUAV inbound. Enemy UAV inbound.
That's enough. Objective
Take it
capture
out.
underway.
So, as you touched on, this was made
Engaging shield.
Taking B.
really tragic. Just changed. Radicalized. I think people in Israel.
It's not just.
Hostile UAV established overhead. Net call. Enemy watchdog helo inbound.
Hostile advanced KIA. Initiating
Taking A.
objective control.
Losing Bravo.
I was looking up
Losing B.
I experienced this with family members. With the sense that
Losing Bravo.
Sentex, front.
I think that to look at what's going on, the totality of what's going on, perceive
inbound.
Israeli citizenry or
Taking A. Zone A secure.
Taking the objective. Watch my six.
We're losing Alpha. We lost A.
Shot's good.
Ridiculous for caring about anti-Semitism.
You said that already.
Because the war's happening. I mean, you know, both care about their jobs. And obviously one is way worse, right? One is
Securing B.
people are. I don't think that.
Mark it down, Bravo. We're losing Charlie.
Concussion grenade. Beginning capture.
Taking Bravo underway.
Eyes on hostile
Getting
sector.
UAV on grid.
In the context of my kid is going through something very difficult.
Taking B. Bravo is ours.
Incoming subjects.
Losing C. They're taking C. We lost B.
And then the Israelis, right?
Hostile counter UAV established above. Hostile UAV established overhead.
Located hostile UAV. UAV.
And to recognize
Securing B. Come on, you're losing this fight.
In Israel, people
Lock it down, Bravo.
Molotov out.
Your trophy system was eliminated.
Enemy UAV inbound.
That being said, I think the problem
Enemy RCXD detected.
is to try to explain what's happening there.
See UAV inbound.
The feeling, it's like there's not a even the information that they're consuming.
Assault and counter UAV.
Taking B.
Located hostile CUAV.
Watchdog helo incoming on your location.
Enemy watchdog helo overhead.
Requesting recon above.
I think, you know,
Taking Bravo underway.
Confirming enemy down. 5 down.
What the fuck's going on out there? Tighten up and show some spine. Be secured.
Marshal requesting UAV tasking.
UAV established overhead. UAV flight time 50% on my mark.
Hostile UAV established overhead. Guess I chose the wrong people for the job. My
Pull
bad.
out. It's Crimson's day.
It's gobsmacking, and to me, myself as a Zionist as a kid, an anti-Zionist. Referred to me as anti-Zionist, and I have, I don't really care that one way or another how I'm labeled. But to me, it shows a failure of that system of government that Israel has. And perspective of, what I think some people had as a Zionism in the
Hannah Arendt.
19th century.
Hannah Arendt.
It has been a failure in terms of keeping Jews safe, frankly. It seems to have been a massive failure. And so I can't operate as someone who lives in Israel, but I can operate as someone who is an American in terms of like what we support, which is why I think we should end all aid. And as a Jew who sees my religion being used as what I perceive as a fig leaf for what Israelis or, Zionists are doing. And so, that's where I'm coming from.
This is really important. This conversation is great to have.
I'm
so glad he did this.
I'm
so glad Ethan did this.
If there is a psychological state that can justify this.
Oh, no, they're too stupid to understand it, though.
I don't think there is. And so,
It's just an attempt to understand, not justify. Because, it is what it is, right? Like, it is the way that it is. And so that's for a reason. And it's just, it's just trying to explain it. That's all. I agree with everything you're saying. But actually, one thing I want to pivot to and ask you about.
Do you think that we should cut all aid to Israel?
I think that'd be justifiable, yeah.
And
we're talking about like military aid and stuff. Yeah, for sure. Israel can make their own bombs and shit.
Every
if they need, like, they don't need American military.
Yes,
I agree with you on that.
I think they do need it to do what they're doing, without a doubt. And
what I mean is they're not entitled to it. To say more accurately. Yeah. So I think military aid should be cut for sure until.
As a Jew, and obviously you have a different connection to Israel than I do, as through your family and whatnot, and through having lived there. But as a Jew,
Ethan W. They're so desperate for Ethan to come across as even remotely
to what is being done, ostensibly to protect me and my family and my ancestors and my progeny and all of it. I think it's I think the conflation of Zionism and Judaism is both not keeping Jews safe and is wrong at its core. And we can see what it's even doing in the context of this country, the way that it's enabled Trump to attack universities and to attack law firms and whatever. And so I don't know.
By the way, I think Ethan is in agreement with Sam here. He's walking back a lot of his positions, but I don't think Gila is in agreement with Sam
I agree with everything you're saying. And part of the reason why, like, this
Gila's fucking was watching this with steam coming out of her ears.
He decides that somebody is an enemy of the movement for criticizing him, which is what I perceive happened. Then it kind of becomes reality.
All the way up until the fucking context nuke.
Is
I didn't know the
him not supporting Kamala Harris. Now, would she have stopped the war and been like a perfect dove? I don't know, but I know she would have been better than Trump. I know that for sure. Trump's posting like this insane Riviera, Gaza, the Riviera with Trump hotels. I mean, that's and like he's sending the 20-pound bombs. He's telling Netanyahu, you have a blank check to do whatever you want.
They're watching me as well.
Like,
it just came out that Biden didn't, did nothing to. I mean, listen, I think.
Well, we're talking about Kamala.
I suspect that
we don't know. We don't know what Kamala would have done.
I suspect.
Like, sure, it would be marginally better, but we don't know.
She would not have had the same policies as Trump. But at the same time, I think that it was a massive failure, both on a real human level. Like it would have, I think, had she articulated anything even remotely close to what I would hope the difference would have been.
That's the reason why
it would have probably
that was my point.
Had implications in the election, but I think
from Biden's
perhaps even more importantly,
genocidal Gaza policy,
it would have
not removing herself, not severing her ties from Biden early on. That was my major point of contention with the Kamala Harris campaign, and that's what led her to lose.
I chose to support Harris because I perceived her as the lesser of two evils, but.
Yeah, me too, and I think that that's an important distinction to make at a time like this. Yeah,
I can certainly understand how some people were just so repulsed by what was happening that it made it almost impossible for them to vote for Harris. I think
I understand why they didn't. I totally understand the perspective. Like, I'm so disillusioned with this administration, I can't support Kamala. But at the same time, like a hugely influential political streamer like Hassan,
I never told people not to vote for Kamala.
On people, I think, and who's someone who
not to vote for Kamala Harris. That is a lie.
Who's very vocal about being pro-Palestine. I feel like it's an abdication of responsibility to be like, I'm not voting for Kamala, or I'm not telling you who I voted for. I suspect he voted for Jill Stein personally.
I hate Jill Stein.
But either way, he hasn't said, and he wouldn't endorse her. Now, like, if you're just like a random protester or whatever, and like you're like, I'm so disgusted, I don't want to vote, that's fine. But if you're like a high-level political streamer, and you know, basically, you have the capacity to weigh like the lesser of two evils, and what that means, I feel like it's an abdication of responsibility to not make that call.
I mean, I certainly have been critical of people who, generally don't vote for the lesser of two evils, but I think, and certainly, in the run up to the 2016 election, I certainly, that was my perspective. But again,
I don't know why he lies about this.
What the Biden administration was doing was so horrific that her inability.
Yes, of course, he's using Sam to try and trash talk me by fucking lying.
I think
I literally have.
Sometimes you have to take this.
Overdrive.
Certainly, definitely other things you would not be assaulting.
We got the lead. Now hold it.
Trump is.
BDA one down.
This is the first election, and as long as I've been doing this, and I think it's been 5 elections now. I mean, I'm old.
Why are you pointing that shit ass hat?
I couldn't really taking that.
Said finish them.
Damn it, we've lost the lead.
Found out that Biden, in fact, did nothing to bring that about. So
I'm talking about Biden. I'm talking about Kamala Harris. What she's the vice president. I mean, at the end of the day, she doesn't really.
No. But I'm talking about the candidate. Biden.
Stim you.
Waypoint mark.
He is not
them.
I'm sorry.
Well, listen, I think it was going to be worse. I think that if you're trying to get
Watch it.
People wouldn't want to support them because of
choice to do that. I mean, it was really electoral reasons on her part, in my opinion. But I don't know what the point of litigating this is, per se. But
well, I'm talking about.
Stun inbound.
But you seem to have the destruction and everything happening, the genocide.
Hostile planet 3 miles.
Obviously, that's way more important. So let me show you an example of something. To me, this isn't drama. This is the biggest, most influential stream. Spreading something.
Driving RCXD.
Someone be the fucking local. Positive feelings.
Hostile grenade.
That's not fit to be a dog walker. Now, to me, that seems like extremely dangerous. Arguably, Jewish diaspora, and certainly from your family.
And I'll tell you what I think is really
Positive feelings about the state of Israel.
Arc engines up.
I just think this is such a petty idea that we're going to
Right. Driving RCXD.
is so far beyond the idea that someone says any time of your life.
Eyes on enemy. Hostile shooter.
Understand how someone could have positive feelings at this time. Now,
Boarding mark. RCXD rolling out.
a poll that people had positive feelings towards people do, and then therefore he is anti-Semitic, and honestly, I think is so dangerous and so. This is, I don't want to get too passionate about this, but I will tell you something. He sat at Passover with me 3 or 4 times. This is just one that is just an example, an illustration of conflating what he's clearly was it hyperbole to say
Christians on their heels. Hit them hard.
for Jews?
Yes.
Talking through.
Trump to do the shit that is a nation
That's right, you shithead. The CIA's nothing
Clean
without
win.
us.
Good shit.
And I appreciate that you can hand wave it away and say that it doesn't. You kind of are. You're saying
is incredibly
not fit to be a dog walker.
He never says the word
He
Jew.
says a neo.
Listen, how many members of Kufi have positive feelings
Let
towards
me
Israel?
let me see.
How many millions of members of Christian organization have positive feelings for Jews? It is clearly not a function of their Judaism. It is not a function of their Judaism, and so
But
is
it
not
describes
specifically.
most Jews.
Perhaps these people will
No.
not
Yes, it
finally
does,
understand.
Sam.
It describes most Christian evangelicals too.
It may do them too, but it also describes 73% of
that
Jews.
is not anti-Semitism. That is
Well,
about
I don't
a
know. What do you
belief.
call it when somebody's discriminating against the vast majority of a racial or religious group, Sam?
I'm sorry. You want to look at evangelical Jews?
I
You
don't
can say
care
he's
about
anti-Christian
evangelical
too.
people.
Okay, but I'm talking about the way you're constructing this.
I think
and so you can say the same thing about Christian evangelicals too. It is not anti-Semitism.
I wouldn't be able to have this
It is
conversation
not.
because Ethan would just be like, "You're a Jew hater. You're a Jew hater. You're a Jew hater." He
in
can't do that to
isolation, which is
Sam.
what we've done here.
Well, you're the one who gave it to me.
Yeah, well,
I don't even want to talk about
fundamentally,
it.
I disagree
but I'm
with
using
you.
your example, and in that instance, that is not anti-Semitism.
Well, I
And this
disagree.
Conflation. Okay, well, that's our disagreement.
Yeah.
But I think that conflation is incredibly dangerous.
Well, I disagree
It's
as well on that.
dangerous for Jews.
I think-
it's dangerous for this society.
Why would he?
I think,
even
frankly, I think it's dangerous
Why would he claim to be
what I
pro-Palestine after this?
perceive as hand waving what is happening here. I know you said you aren't doing
I'm
that.
not hand waving.
Yeah, no, you're doing the opposite. You're endorsing
decades
Yeah.
of decades of thought about this.
So right, sure. But the point is, you're saying that this is not dangerous. How dare you care about this? I think it's dangerous
No, I'm not saying that at all.
I personally, I mean,
I'm
Jewish
saying
people
the
have a collective
mischaracterization
memory of
of it
trauma,
as
Sam, and it
anti-Semitism.
starts a certain way, and it starts with people. It starts with dehumanizing language, like saying you're not fit to walk a dog. I mean, what are we doing here? It's irresponsible language.
He's not talking about
He's
Jews.
talking about 73% of Jewish people.
No, you said that.
No, that's a poll that's readily available.
No, you made that connection. He did not. Because we have millions upon millions of members of Kufi. We have millions upon millions in this country of evangelicals who also believe the same thing.
Does your dad
and
have?
You cannot say it's anti-Semitism.
Could you describe
You cannot say it's anti-Semitism if you're also including millions upon millions, far more Christians.
If he wants his dad to be appointed to a local office, then Sam would say no.
Your father, who you mentioned, said something to you that he's ever in his life had positive feelings about the state of Israel.
I've had positive feelings of Israel.
Whoa. Does your dad have any positive feelings about it now?
I would assume so.
Not in terms of like I support them, but
I've
like
had
I think
positive
Israel.
feelings. I went to Israel on.
Okay, good. Then you're a neo-Nazi, not fit to walk a dog. How do you feel about that?
No, that's you saying that.
That's literally what he said. I'll play it again.
Thank you. I think like this will never happen, but in a totally just world, any kind of, regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the fucking local dog catcher as Felix was posting if they've ever exhibited any sort of like positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this.
Another thing he's doing, by the way, and Hassan does it.
Listen,
he plays around with the term Zionist, right?
You can say that's a wrong thing to say, but he's not talking about Jews.
Yes.
He's talking about people who have exhibited these positive feelings, and that includes millions upon millions of Christians.
Yes.
More Christians.
Okay, well, listen, I don't think
your background.
He's not fit to walk dogs, either. I think it's insane language.
Listen, you don't want to tell me that you have never engaged in hyperbole. You and I both are in this business, and we do that.
Yeah, you're right. I just think that you know.
It's you listen. You can say
I just think that like
to say it's an unfair thing
I
to
just
say.
think like Arabs that support Israel aren't fit to walk a dog.
It is not anti-Semitism.
Okay, well we're at an impasse on this one.
No, the dog walker is a local.
But anyway, another
it's
thing
a fucking colloquialism that Felix Biederman, also Jewish, used.
Zionism. He calls me a Zionist, and again, I know we're arguing here about semantics of what Hassan said, but I don't think that you could accurately characterize me as that, as it's used colloquially. You don't know, right? But he's saying Zionist tendencies. What does that mean? What's a Zionist tendency?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're going to talk to him on Friday. You can ask him what a Zionist tendency is. I suppose I would guess. And, you know, like I've looked at polls too, where, you know, people have various different understandings of what Zionism is.
On this?
But I think it is
up so much.
My guess.
Trying to fight us on
and I don't know what he was thinking specifically.
Watch
but
Ethan back away from our supposed debate on Friday now, because now he didn't get what he wanted out of Sam.
Whatever in the name of Zionism allows this mass slaughter. I think is
kill confirmed.
Sure,
and he's not able to extract what he wanted out of Sam.
Disagree on that regard.
Yeah, I think we're so another thing is like to take it. Sure. I mean, what do you want to ask me?
If you want to ask me,
lead dive.
I'm not here to explore.
I have a list of things
but if you want to talk about Hamas, I mean, I think look.
Hamas.
Tango neutralized.
I feel that Hamas perceive it as
Sam.
Listen, I think there are parts of Hamas that have done good for the people in Gaza, and I think they have done bad things. But I sort of feel like with Barack when he said that
31.
it would be likely that I would join Hamas. I mean, that's what he said on multiple occasions, and I think that is very. That is
the exact same opinion as
an understanding.
Supporting Israelis, by the way. I refuse to understand human nature and their reaction. It's just I'm inferring. I asked you if you think they're evil, and you.
What Gazans felt on October 8th. There's a long history of terrorist organizations, the so-called terrorists, like the ANCC, the IRA, even the PLO.
I think the comparison to Hamas to what happened in South Africa is insanely. Well, Mandela did think so.
This shit ain't working. We've lost the advantage. Come on, you're losing this fight.
It's great that he's got all these Hassan like clips ready to go, but he wants to put words into Nelson Mandela's mouth and has no clips ready to go. Of course, no quotes, nothing. He's just like, wow, like what moron told you that, man? And why do you believe him so much?
Tossing flash.
This is incoherent.
Heads up. Hostile care package inbound. There's a spy in our ranks. Watch your six.
Enemigo.
Watch out! Enemy Hellstorm launch!
They had it coming.
Which is why, obviously, Israel
The part that I don't like about people,
horrific.
people say, too, I feel like people say
Enemy in the black.
Like, what do you expect,
MK
right? What South Africa shows is that you don't need to commit a violent war against civilians to
where, Sinwar is involved in
Placing sentry.
time and time again. And
Take your head out your ass and your finger off the trigger.
Enemy care package above.
my understanding of it has changed, and I can only...
Hostile touch.
Enemy UAV inbound.
Deployment. The West Bank.
I agree with you. Just to say. Okay.
You gonna let a bunch of company assholes beat you? Fight back, damn it!
As a society, is not protecting Jews. It's not protecting Israelis. It's not protecting Jews worldwide. Zionism had and there were certainly proponents of Zionism.
Molotov.
SAM turret is online. TACOM, LDBR, on my mark. They're the CIA.
Are you saying?
They were just gonna let you walk all
Talk about
over
a
them?
shit show. Move out, Black Ops.
Horrific.
And this was loss to what end?
Hostile eliminated. That was just for you.
Nova rave.
Yeah, I don't know if they knew that rave was happening. I suspect it was to derail the Abraham Accords, which were going to leave the Palestinians out of the equation.
You leave out that they attacked Kibbutzim, by the way.
Of course they did, but I'm saying that they. I don't know what the strategy was on their part.
So what do you think? Like, would you expect the response of Israel would be to that?
I had no doubt on that day that Israel was going to respond.
Go insane. Yeah, right. It was going to be horrific. We all knew.
Yes, but I think I think the lack of proportionality was just beyond, frankly, and I was aware that this was going to be a horror show, but I don't think I had the level of awareness of what they would do to go in and literally level it, destroy what is it, 80-90% of the structures in Palestine, bomb hospitals
as well.
that they would use.
Well, Hamas did know that because that's why they attacked.
Food as a weapon.
I'm more interested in the justification for what they're doing.
Probably
there.
took hostages with the idea that they would be able to negotiate.
I understand why they took hostages. I don't understand why they took children and elderly.
I believe that they probably. I mean, this is all conjecture on my part. That they would be able to trade them as a way to inhibit Israel's doing what they're doing, and I don't know if they could have even imagined that. I'm not going I'm not going to endorse Hamas's strategy here.
Well, I'm just trying to flesh it out here because this is what I'm getting to is Hamas. I think they knew that this was the reaction that would happen. You know?
I can't imagine that they assumed that there would be this level of destruction.
I mean, that's why they hate Israel. I don't think they underestimate how violent the IDF can be. You know what I mean? That's why they attacked.
I certainly underestimated that they would go this far.
I didn't think they go this far, but
bomb hospitals.
Okay, so what the fuck are you defending Israel and the Zionist project in any capacity, Ethan?
Have rules of engagement
Hamas
like this.
Thought that Israel would have a semblance of humanity for its own hostages. They were wrong. How was that anybody else's fault other than Israel?
Criticism for their strategy here. If
that's an understatement.
Ethan is blaming the genocide of Palestinians on Hamas once again.
Well, I mean, they're a terrorist organization
way to try and defend Israel.
Antagonized like the IDF to come mass slaughter their civilians.
I think that if they overestimated whether Israel cared about the hostages, without a doubt. I mean, there's.
I'm really disappointed.
I don't know that there would be anybody who would make a case that this was their plan.
Community is like full-blown Zionist.
To have Israel respond this way, that's absurd.
The same is true of I guess Israelis feel the same way. Like it was totally unprecedented.
No shot. They're literally fucking going. They're telling Sam.
Maybe they didn't think that their mission would be as successful as it was on the other hand.
I have no doubt that they did not think that they would that they would have been able to overrun that. I mean, I think we were told that the technology of Israel's fence, et cetera, was perfect and something we should emulate in this country. I mean, Trump was all talking about that. So I have no doubt that Hamas underestimated.
Overestimated the IDF. Yeah, I got you.
What they would be able to,
oh my God, it's bad.
What kind of destruction they would wreak.
Bad, bro.
And they underestimated the violence that Israel would perpetrate on Gaza. I don't know that anyone could have imagined that Israel would
can be to explain the situation. And these guys are just going crazy. They're treating him like they treat me.
Commiseration and bombing churches and bombing hospitals and blowing up universities and destroying
Sam is hard to listen to.
I mean, it's almost beyond belief.
So one thing that when I was talking to Hassan, and I'm just going to talk about his point. This is about him personally. When I asked him, because this is obviously the $1 million question, right? By the way, just you know, there's not one public bomb shelter in Gaza.
You think that's a good point?
There's not one public bomb shelter in Gaza?
Oh no, he's doing hospitals. hospital points. Oh,
Okay.
Sam's
I
gonna
just
cook
think
them.
that's interesting. It's pretty fucked up.
What
don't you
would a
think?
3,000-pound bomb do to a bomb shelter?
Do I think it's fucked up?
Do you think Israel would stop themselves from blowing up a bomb shelter?
I'm not
They
sure
blew
I
up
understand the point.
hospitals.
Well, I mean,
Are you that
Do you think anything would be standing anymore?
Well, bomb shelters are underground. I mean, they would definitely be a lot safer.
What happened
They
to your
have 2,000. They have bunker busters. They've used bunker busters on fucking refugee camps. They've used bunker busters on hospitals. Why the fuck would they stop themselves from using it on a fucking bomb shelter?
The first one that they went into, they built it when they were occupying Gaza.
Right, that's true of that one. But I mean, they have a vast tunnel network, obviously, as everybody knows. But I don't care. I don't want to get into the weeds on this. The $1 million question is like, what can we do? Now, it's obviously insanely difficult to say.
I think we can stop aid immediately. I mean, obviously, it's not going to happen under
I'm in
Trump.
favor of that, by the way.
Move on. Don't move on. Oh my God.
Okay. I mean, good.
I mean, I just think
we should call for all aid to be ceased, and I think we should stop protecting them in the
What
UN.
should have Israel done on October 8th, I guess? Like, what would have been an appropriate response for their government?
Not kill Israeli citizens within the Gaza envelope. In a hope that Hamas could not hold them kidnapped.
On October 8th, I mean, I think that there is
concede to the positions of Hamas.
They're hitting strategic sites to attempt to take out leadership. They should have. But let's talk.
Well, the leadership was underground.
Yeah, to look at that, that moment in history,
genocide,
like maybe it was.
I disagree because they had to do something.
Maybe in that moment,
Why are there?
They had to go in and bomb or whatever they do. I think that any action that they would have taken at that point, frankly, was a function of literally decades of oppressing people and attempting to bring this to an eventuality.
Right.
I mean, this was.
I can't believe.
And so, what should they have done?
I can't believe his audience legitimately and Ethan thought that Sam would agree with.
Okay, I think what they should have done is begun empowering
anyone who's knowledgeable on this issue that isn't fucking brain broken.
This is my favorite answer, Sam.
100% going to have these exact same opinions.
They should disband their government and lift the borders in response to the worst terrorist attack that's ever happened.
I think honestly, when you see that your policies have failed, but I don't think this
you
was
actually
their
don't
agenda.
believe that that's a real thing, though. I'm interested in having like a real conversation. You can't like live in a fairy tale land where, in response to the worst military or terrorist attack of all time, Israel, who's already, as you state, like genocidal and racist and all these terrible things, is going to lift their borders and disband their government.
Wait a second. You're asking me what they should have done, and that's different.
No, in a
from what I
realistic way, not in a
expect them to
fairy
do.
tale, Sam.
Well, listen, there is no realistic thing. Their agenda has been, it has been quite clear. Their agenda has been, since Ariel Sharon walked on the Temple Mount and tried to scuttle peace talks, the agenda since the assassination of Rabin by arch-Zionists in Israel, the agenda has been to bring about this moment. There is no doubt about it. The annihilation of the Palestinian people has been an agenda in Israel for far too long. So from the perspective, it's anything I say is fantastical relative to what they would actually do. Anything.
There's nothing they could have done that because of the situation, anything they would have done would have been.
Poor Israel, man.
There was no plan that on this day they were going to do this.
I feel so bad for Israel for 76 years of apartheid. They just had no other option but to do genocide. That is the logical conclusion of Ethan's argument, by the way. That is how crazy this is.
The agenda.
What, in terms of like attacking Gaza or inciting an attack?
I would imagine both, frankly. But to find a way to eliminate the Palestinians, this has been the agenda of at one time what I think was a smaller segment of the Israeli body politic, and I think has increasingly become an even larger portion of the Israeli politic. So, I mean, anything I say in terms of should is fantastical. Anything.
So, yeah, okay. I mean, so this is like I understand where you're coming from, right? Like
there was an opportunity for a ceasefire that was called in November. November, in December. They could have held a ceasefire at any point, and the amount of killing would have been far less. They could have done that. They could have ended it after a week.
Hamas could have ended the war anytime too.
How could have Hamas ended the war?
By releasing the hostages?
No, listen. Israel has said time and time again that release of the hostages is not going to end their assault on Gaza. They have said this over
I don't believe
and
that's
over and over.
I haven't seen those statements. I've seen the opposite. I believe that
you really haven't seen those statements?
No, I haven't. I'll review them. I mean, it depends when it depends when they were made too, right? Like, is it what's in
family
response
protests
to
in
it?
Israel, Ethan, is because the Netanyahu government doesn't want to release the hostages because they want to keep using the hostages as a reason to keep bombing Gaza because they want to ethnically cleanse the Gaza population. They want to ethnically cleanse the fucking Gaza Strip. You are so stupid.
Coming into Gaza.
Why are you so stupid? You don't understand anything.
That's not true.
Israel's actions.
That didn't happen either.
Being inevitable.
Oh my God.
Like, when do you think they should have ended it? When do you think they should have ended it?
So who have ended what?
You've asked me the question, what should have Israel done? You tell me what they should have done. Do you think what they've done is right?
Well, I've clearly stated no, Sam.
Okay, so tell me what they should have done.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, hindsight is a beautiful thing. But in my opinion, like you said, I think some more specific strikes. I think more moving slowly because as you kind of
just a slower
pointed out but didn't really acknowledge
when
is
do you
that
think they should have ended?
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah.
So the leadership is obviously underground, so it's going to be a long mission of trying to get them. It's going to be a difficult mission, but I think militarily they probably have some obligation to their citizenry at the very least to like take out but we're ignoring the fact that missiles are being shot into Israel nonstop. And I know you're going to say, Iron Dome stops most of them, which is true. But at the same time, I mean, a country needs to respond to that. They can't just allow missiles to be shot.
Team deathmatch. Neutralize all threats.
How many members of Hamas? Has probably been replaced by someone who's lost a family member. So you tell me, Ethan, if you're the one with the sensical perspective.
Incoming subject.
Obviously,
Black Ops don't leave people behind.
At the Great
was marching with them.
Were people attacking the?
Send an incendiary.
Nice. Pull it ahead.
We're trying to cross the border.
Damn it, we've lost the lead.
But I mean, again. I think they can obviously pursue peace. The way that they're doing it is. What should they have done? I mean, obviously.
Hostile tag.
But I'm saying there could have been although it's not, I think their response was inevitable.
Eyes on it.
But like
dying.
You got a death wish, son?
Is inevitable.
Right. Enemy grenade.
But like, you expect that what they've done is inevitable. I just wonder, like, what do you think is in that body policy? We're going to be
Hostile grenade. They ain't gonna need for that.
in this country. I think it's possible. But population writ large. But,
Move her here.
as inevitable.
Different situation. Clearly, yeah. I mean, that was completely unpredictable.
They couldn't use their
Semtex, front.
they had it.
You're planning on giving up. Do it
Eyes on
now.
hostile
It's
Semtex.
not. Get to work.
The killing of innocent civilians. The Israeli body policy.
You think the Israeli
I don't believe in bad times. Just bad aim. Get to Exfil.
Easy to say for me. Ethan should Sam Cedar me because they thought that
in
Ethan
Israel.
and one another,
People in a
and now
country
they're
that's
fucking calling him
relatively
a
small.
self-hating Jew
So
and
I think
shit.
the majority of the public as wanting to kill civilians is a little sick, personally. But I guess you can say whatever you want.
I'm basing
I mean,
this
I know you're
on
gonna
conversations with